Everyone, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Hassan, and that is Sal. And today we're going to be discussing James Gunn coming out and discussing the future of the DCU. But today's episode is brought to you by GamerSupps. And if you want to support us, you want to keep this show going, then please consider getting your energy drinks from GamerSupps using the code COMICS. They have waifu cups, which is just anime women drawn onto these shaker cups, but they also have regular shaker cups. They also have regular flavors like citrus lemonade and stuff like that. And personally, I have found them less chalky than G Fuel, which is one of the reasons we ended up swapping over. So go there, use the code COMICS. I do recommend them, and you would directly be supporting this channel. Now, today, Hassan, freaking weirdo, wanted to talk about a tweet from James Gunn. So why don't you read what he tweeted, Hassan?
So the wonderful James Gunn, as you guys know, is now the head of DC Studios, which is a big deal because it's no longer some idiot. I don't know who it was before, but they were bad.
Nobody.
And there was no DC.
There was nobody.
I want to clarify that real quick. Technically, the guy who ran the show was Walter Hamada. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Hamada was his last name. But there was no DC Studios. Hamada oversaw everything. So it wasn't like, oh, I run the movies. It was like, comics, good. This good. Movies, do that. You know what I mean? Like that's.
And he didn't know what he was doing. So let's talk about what James Gunn is going to do, because he
said, so James Gunn, and you'll tell the other guy's name in a minute because he's going to go through the tweet.
Yeah,
he's
Peter
now
Safran.
the official head of a new division set up to dictate the DC movies. So,
which just it being called DC Studios, I love that name. Okay.
Yep.
He tweeted out, open up Twitter at the end of a long creative weekend to see many tweets to hashtag Save Legends of Tomorrow and hashtag Release the Ayer Cut and fans support for DC projects over the years. The majority for these requests were enthusiastic and respectful. As the new and first ever CEO of DC Studios, Peter and I think it's important that we acknowledge you, the fans, and let you know that we hear different desires for the pathways forward for DC. Although our ability to interact on Twitter has been lessened due to the workload of our new positions, we are listening and open to everything as we embark on this journey and will continue to do so for the next few years. But all our initial focus is the story going forward, hammering out the new DCU, telling the biggest stories ever told across multiple films, television shows, and animated project. We invite all of the DC fandoms across the multiverse and everyone else as well into this new universe. We can't wait to reveal more.
Yeah, for me, the takeaway was him saying we're going to tell, like, and it could just be he's like, I can't wait to tell the biggest and best stories, yay, across all these different platforms. But for me, a little bit, I was like, do you mean you're going to tell a big story using movies, TV, and animation as one big tapestry for one contiguous universe? I don't think so. My wife certainly didn't think so. I was like, did you see this? She's like, that's not what he means. And I was like, maybe. She's like, no.
At least one continuous multiverse is how I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
I think DC is going to do like what they should have done from the jump and just have everything that they've ever done existing in a huge multiverse they control. So anytime they want to bring back an actor or bring back a director for a project, something very, genre driven, something really specific to that director's talents, so that actor's talents and that character's talents, they bring it back without affecting the mainline world. And then if they're like, okay, we want him in the mainline thing, multiversal jump, now he's in the mainline world, and we still have the other guy, and maybe they'll fight. I don't know.
Right? Or just genre jump. Like, if we're going to make movies, right? The movies are Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the biggest ones, right? And Flash. But only we had to do that. But like the biggest, and yet Peacemaker is a success. It's a show over there,
right?
But maybe it's part of the same universe. That works great. Like if they want to do a question thing, like, hey, the Question's a really cool character. Let's do a show. Maybe it's like 4 episodes. Boom, and we locked in that actor, and then maybe in a really like awesome sequence in like a Batman or Superman movie, the Question shows up. Like we can do that and celebrate the fact that we are one contiguous studio. Like Warner Brothers owned it all. Warner Brothers could have had Batman in any Superman movie at any point, and vice versa. They could have cast a Wonder Woman in any Batman movie at any point and never did. Like, they could have done it all.
Sal, stop.
It's actually kind of
never
funny.
once thought about it that way, that they owned all their own property,
I was
unlike
going to say,
Marvel,
that's actually the funniest thing. I never thought about it that way, because Marvel was separate studios, so it made sense there was never any crossover.
Yeah.
But DC just owned them all. And
the reason they never did crossover is because of Mr. Christopher Nolan, who was very adamant that his Batman would not exist and no other characters. He didn't want them in his world.
Yeah, but I think the point
they didn't even talk about
Batman
it. Like,
89 could have said.
Yeah, Batman 89, the closest thing we ever got to a interconnected superhero universe in the DC pantheon was George Clooney's Batman saying, "This is why Superman works alone." Like, that's just saying Superman one time and acknowledging him was the closest thing. But like, what? And I remember hearing there were rumors. I don't remember if there were any actual like Easter eggs of like Wayne Enterprises existing in the Superman Returns movie. But even that movie didn't even bother.
I think that's what Sal's getting at. Not the Christopher Nolan. That has gone down in history.
The Nolan trilogy is Nolan. Like those aren't even Batman movies.
I meant what followed that was the whole characters being locked to whatever property they're in. Like Batman, the Arrow show was going to be developed as a Batman show, and there was Bruce Wayne was supposed to be introduced into Smallville, but they couldn't do any of that because he was very adamant that DC do not use my character outside of my film right now. So then they end up going with Justin Hartley and brought Green Arrow into Smallville, and then later they did the Arrow show, which was, I mean, it was just a retelling of the Dark Knight, but with the Green Arrow. So I think that's what I was referring to, that like he's the reason that DC only was ever doing one thing at a time when their DNA is doing a thousand
they claimed
things.
early on that they claimed early on that they felt that the audience wouldn't be able to differentiate different versions.
Yeah.
So the rule for like 20 years was if we do Batman, that's the only Batman.
Right.
So
like
the rule was
embargo
Batman would only be in the movies.
Wasn't
right?
that kicked off though, like during the Nolan era? That's what I my understanding.
Well,
of it.
it
was like
it
his
certainly took
request,
place,
and that kicked it off, and that just became their belief.
It certainly took place during like all of their animated properties, like Teen Titans versus Justice League Unlimited. Like no sidekicks, no Robins, no nothing, and it was like just because we can't, and it was like you absolutely can. It's like a self-imposed thing. It would be like if Marvel owned Spider-Man and was just like, well, we're not going to use Spider-Man because we feel like it would really just take away from what we're doing right now. Like, I'm sorry, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think Teen Titans has this line. And it's like, I remember being a kid being like, oh my God, when they reference Teen Titans and Batman, where Slade's like, I'm like your father. And then Robin's like, I already have a father. Pans to like a Wayne sign and then pan on the screen. It's like, that's Batman. He was in the show.
Right. Like the smallest Easter egg. I remember like, what was it? His name was like in the dreamscape, Grayson was backwards. We had like a silhouetted sequence that showed them doing the oath in the cave. And I'm like, this is the most like desperate, like we are literally being told by our bosses, we're making a Robin show. He is no one else's sidekick but Batman, but we have to pretend like Batman almost doesn't even exist in this universe. Like that's so dumb. And
that's one thing I liked about what they did with Titans. Now I wish they didn't. The choice of Batman was a totally bullshit, whatever. But
hey, I liked him.
Having Titans directly reference the time with Batman and reference Batman and have Batman show up added to that story instead of it just being like Dick Grayson's his own superhero. He's not though. He started over here.
Right. Although I will say, at least with Teen Titans, like not the dumb version of that show, but the other one, the cartoon. I mean, not having Batman strengthened the show because they could only do their own thing. So like the stories were like if Robin had an emotional journey, and he had to go through it with a character, it would make sense that it would be with like Robin or Batgirl or another Robin. But instead, it has to be with a member of the Titans, which makes it a more Titan-centric show, which made the show overall a better product. So like there is art from adversity. It's just kind of funny that like one studio who literally has like, we have one toy chest, all the toys are in it, they're right here, we're not going to choose not to use some of them for no good reason whatsoever.
It's actually funny when you look at that because I never thought about it that way, but the Titans show, the one you're referencing, did a better job of expanding on the Titans than the Titans live action show.
It was just Batman Doom Patrol? I don't know.
Well, the Titans live action show, but in like season 1, like we got Beast Boy, we got Starfire, we got Raven, we got Dick Grayson,
Cyborg,
and Cyborg. And then season 2, no, they didn't get Cyborg.
That's right. Cyborg came over from Doom. Yeah, never mind.
No, Cyborg's in Doom Patrol.
He stayed in Doom Patrol. He was supposed to move over, but he never did.
Yeah.
And then season 2 rolled around. They're like, well, everyone likes Dick Grayson, so he can't talk to the Titans. Bring in the Bat family.
Like what?
And then season 3, he's like, hey, that worked well. Let's just move Dick Grayson to Gotham, and the Titans are over here now.
Season 4, Ben. Wait till you start. I'm not even going to say a damn word.
I meant to start it this
even more
weekend.
of that. It's more of that.
Dude, after season 2 and 3, I'm like, this is no longer a Titan show. This is the Nightwing show.
And here's the thing. I love a Nightwing show. I'm gonna watch it for laughs. But I'm with you guys on like the whole interconnected universe, and I'll reference a show that Benny doesn't like, but I love. But Young Justice was probably the first show that they were given. They were given a full toy box.
Yeah.
And yeah, Benny, he ended up grabbing some obscure ass toys, and you hated him. But he
season
liked
1 and
playing
2 were
with
incredible.
them.
I will give you season 2.
Yeah,
1 and
they
2
used
were
Icon
incredible.
Rocket.
And I liked beyond seasons 1 and 2, but Benny liked season 1 and 2. They had like a toy chest. They did whatever they wanted. So because that, Batman being Nightwing's mentor, or Robin's mentor, he mentored all of the sidekicks. Like he's part of the league, and he's like, he ran the covert ops team. And then when they became adults, there was like a line in season 3 where he's like, all of you guys were essentially like Batman's sidekicks. So of course you're gonna want to operate on this cloak and dagger, whatever kind of vibe. It was incredible because there was such connective tissue. So James Gunn bringing this up was really exciting. I also love the acknowledgement of fan outcry in a very healthy way, not in a PR statement way, not in a, hey, we're doing an interview where we're lightly mentioning something. I want
to go into that a little more heavy in a second. I just want to say on the Young Justice thing, I do actually agree. I disliked season 3. I think season 3 was a terrible idea.
I love season 3.
Because season 1, 2, and 4 were like, here's the characters you're going to care about, and they're ancillary. Season 3 was like, hey, I found Forager at the bottom of the toy chest.
Right.
And you know what? He's like, I'm going to give it the voice of Wally West. Wally, do a silly voice now. I'm Forager.
Yeah, exactly. It was terrible. I hated it.
And I liked it.
I will agree. I liked season 1, 2, and 4, and I do think that they did the best use of the entire toy chest because they didn't ignore anything. Even if it happened to be off mentioned, they didn't ignore. It reminded me of Justice League Unlimited, where they also did, like, they were like, we have everything. We're going to do everything we want except the sidekicks.
Right.
That's the only thing they couldn't do.
Which, goddamn, the one silhouette of Nightwing you see in one episode of Justice League, besides the point. Yeah, Young Justice had the whole toy chest, and it's so fun to have that. The power just to, like, put your character on screen in whatever format makes the most sense for him. Like, it's perfection. Like Young Justice did Barbara Gordon in the background and then brought her in as a main character and then made her Oracle and had her relationship with Dick Grayson on screen while Dick Grayson's being like a dog when he's young and he's like dating Zatanna and flirting with this girl and flirting with that girl. But yeah,
but I want to move over to
the
fan outcry because I do know, and I guarantee they were seething over this. I didn't look, actually, didn't pop up, but he didn't even. He referenced the Ayer cut hashtag.
Yeah,
and he referenced was it save Legends of Tomorrow hashtag.
Hell yeah,
it didn't touch the Snyder cut.
No, it didn't.
All.
And do you know why, guys? Do you know why?
Because his statement was they were respectful. And what I've said before, look, I like the Snyder universe, but it has become a situation where people see it and go, that's the hate-filled fans. That's why you don't see me going, guys, restore the Snyderverse. Like, I keep getting tagged by this one moron. He's a freaking moron, and he's muted, so I don't see them. But he tags me, and then other people respond, and then it brings that up, and then I see the mute. And it's this one guy that's like, bullshit out of his ass theories about Snyderverse and how it's returning. And it's just like, that's why he didn't reference it. Because the sane fans like me, we're few and far between, man.
Right.
Yes. And you know what? Like, there was a lot of comments last time I talked about Snyderverse because there was a whole video dedicated to it where they were just guys, your feelings were really hurt that I was so mean to them. And they're saying, I'm just as bad as them. No, I haven't been harassing a multi-million-dollar studio who struggles with literally everything. So I'm not trying to make their day even worse because they don't know what they're doing. Just, guys, you'll probably get Snyderverse eventually. Just shh. It's okay. Quiet down.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. You'll get it.
I can see something being referenced in the multiverse.
But Snyder stuff.
I actually don't want to talk about Snyder stuff because he didn't reference it, so we're not going to bring it up. I want to talk about Save Legends of Tomorrow and Ayer Cut. Do you think that he's going to bring back Legends of Tomorrow and Ayer Cut? Why reference those two hashtags of all the ones you could reference?
I think because, number one, they have hashtags, and number two, because they represent two very disparate fandoms / like arms of the DC universe. Like Legends of Tomorrow was like a comedy, half not quite Arrowverse live action CW show. You know, it like represented a lot of different stuff that wasn't in any way aligned with anything they're doing with the movies or TV shows, like the app TV shows. And then there's the Ayer Cut, which is like a movie that is wholly harmless, that was obviously maligned by like studio interference. Like there is a movie there that exists somewhere because they shot it, like, and then they just cut it to crap and added a bunch of stuff. Like there might be another version of that, but it also represents the like the Snyder Cut-esque idea of there being a mysterious secret version of a movie that exists somewhere, and like if only we just had access to it, we would put it out. Like those are two different things. They have nothing to do with each other, but they also represent two different aspects of the fandom. And it's like, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, folks. Like, we're going to make these new things, but we're also going to acknowledge that like you like other things that aren't the things we're going to be working on, and we're going to make stuff for you too.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think DC's Legends of Tomorrow is one that there was no negativity about it. That show was really good at saying, hey, we are camp, and because they're CW and they couldn't do serious stuff versus like Flash, who tries to be serious in a world where you really can't be as serious as you'd like to, so it's very funny and not entertaining and frustrating. Legends leaned into it. Legends would reference Supernatural and be like, wait, are they in the same lot as us? Like they'd go meta with it, and it was hilarious and awesome, and that whole cast was really fantastic.
Like Legends was just it was a casualty of just what's going on at CW.
Yeah, it would.
Flash was ending. Flash was ending. Arrow already ended. Supergirl already ended.
Yeah,
but I feel like Legends of Tomorrow and Stargirl are just casualties of what's going on.
Yeah,
it's just like we need to clean house. We need to clear it off. We need to clear the board, which is something that I would do.
Which with Legends, I suspect they will bring back like a 10-episode run down the road and let them wrap up their story. I think the issue isn't that Legends needs to go on forever. It's that the Legends weren't allowed to have their ending, even though they had like the most beloved ensemble cast in the whole medium for how long,
Right.
So cross your fingers. I'd love Katie Lotz to get her ending. I'd love them to bring back a lot of the original cast too, who, Brandon Routh never wanted to exit that show, and he had to exit the show because they wrote him out of it, which was really frustrating for his character. So I'd love to see the OG Legends team with the people like, if Arthur Darvill could come back, Brandon Routh could come back, and then like the whole cast have 10 episodes, let them say goodbyes, have maybe a bigger budget for fun. But I love that James Gunn acknowledged it, because we've never had that. We've never really had that. And, for Snyder fans, I'll say it, like to have something you love so much and you're so passionate about, and to have it constantly be swiped under the rug or not looked at, I get it. I think you're going about it the wrong way, but I get it. I'm a Young Justice fan, and I made Twitter in 2012 to tweet out #BringBackYoungJustice. Not even kidding. It was my very first tweet. I used to tweet at the writer, hey, Greg, why won't you bring it back? And I don't know why he was tweeting back at a 12-year-old who didn't understand what he was saying, but he was like, I'm not in charge of that. And I was like, then who is?
Right. Who do I tweet at?
Greg,
who do I go
talk
after?
to me.
Greg, help me.
All right, but that's our opinions. I'm excited because having James, and I feel like this is something we needed in the DCU. We needed someone to be front-facing and speak up.
Yeah.
Speak up as to what is going on. Because that, of all the things, love it or hate what's going on with the MCU, Kevin Feige has been upfront about what's going on with the MCU. While we're guessing where the plot's going and what shows are coming out, and what characters they're going to work on, we're never guessing what the overarching idea of the MCU is. He gets out and is like, here's the 10 movies. This is what
he's
we're
been
doing.
very communicative. He's been very even though it's not like he doesn't hold like weekly fireside chats or do like a AMA on Twitter. Like Kevin Feige is just like, I don't want to give him too much credit. I don't hear from Feige every month. You know what I mean? Like, but Feige does at least. He's not like a secluded. Like there are rumors he's dead kind of. Disparity between him and the audience. But what he does, he puts on a good persona. He's very affable seeming, and he does these little like keynotes, and he talks to the press. And he'll answer questions fully, or he'll like play little jokes with them where he's like, they're like, oh, can you give us a little tease? And he's like, oh, I can't say anything. He'll play that. He won't be like a humorless like corporate knob about it. But I think Gunn got to observe Feige's style. He got to apply his own. And I think like addressing things directly is a new version of that, and it's like a more modern version of it, and I think it's a good sign.
And I think James Gunn kind of gets rid of the animosity between DC and Marvel, that having him at the helm really, like, I know there was a conversation back in the day where it's like, you're an MCU fan or you're a DC fan.
Right.
You like these movies, them. And those conversations are silly because we all read comic books and we all like a multi-spread of beautiful, amazing characters. But with James Gunn, having worked with Feige, Feige's first thing was that he's got a lot of work to do with for us until May. Yep. But then after that, I'll be the first in line to see anything that he has to do. Yeah. Right? Like that is incredible. And hey, in 10 years, if DC gets their stuff together, and we might get an amalgam movie or something like that, like something crazy that we'd never expect.
Yeah.
So it's just exciting. I'm so excited for the first time in a long time.
I think with everything we've had in the DC universe, I want to end on this thought real quick, but everyone freaked out about 3 Spider-Men, and they're freaking out about a potential Secret Wars. Everything that has happened in the DC universe, just in this 10-year period of things that don't line up.
Yeah.
Remember how excited people got over the CW's Crisis, and at the opening we saw? Imagine if like James Gunn was able to corral all of that into a big screen fight, like everything.
Oh, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. Get how many? We have what? 4 Superman still running around, or 3? I think we have 3 Supermen still running around. Get Cavill, Welling, and Routh in a suit and put them on screen next to each other. Break the internet.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Come on, that'd be so exciting.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoy this type of content and you want to make sure this channel never dies, consider joining our YouTube memberships where you'll get... What do we do to YouTube memberships? We do stuff over there, but you do get an exclusive video a month, and then there's a few other things we're supposed to be doing, and we will be doing them. But join our YouTube memberships, everyone. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time right here.